Namaste, everyone. Thank you for joining in this session on Shri Suktam. I apologize for the delay while starting the class because I'm just back from my Guruji's place and then I'm traveling to his place again tomorrow for some other ritual. And my voice is all gone because of some, some difficult things that we are doing for clients. But anyways, thank you for taking the time out to join this class, and we can start as we usually do with the Shanti mantra. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunakatu Sahaviryankara Vavahai Tejasvinadadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. All right. So in the last class, we spoke about Jata Vedas Agni, right? And, what I also mentioned is that Jata Vedas Agni is the seer of all the mantras, okay? Is the Rishi associated with, all the mantras of Shri Sukta, okay? So as you take a deep dive into this Shri Suktam, it is very imperative that you form a personal bonding with the seers of Shri Sukta, okay? And, it is only when that personal bond is formed with the, with the rishis associated with Shri Sukta, only then can we rise above the, above the petty behaviors of our mind and senses, okay? It is only then we can let go of our disturbing, distracting, and stupefying thoughts. And in the process, we acquire a clear and tranquil mind. And then we have to turn that tranquil mind inwards so that we discover, both the cause as well as the cure for our most subtle afflictions, right? And what are those afflictions? Afflictions of ignorance, distorted self-identity, attachment, aversion, and fear. Okay. And spiritual progress is not about having siddhis or having spiritual powers that most of us mistaken. It's about having a clear sense of balance in our lives. Okay. It's about having a grip over our emotions that allows us to control our behavior. Okay. Most people speak about spiritual progress, but they don't usually know what spiritual progress is. It's about broadening our perspective of the world around us. Okay. That is the goal of any spiritual practice, right? And with the methodical practice of dhyana, I'm using the word dhyana. Okay. I'm not using the word meditation. Meditation is, just a minute. Meditation, really sorry about that. So meditation is, so meditation is, is more Buddhist by origin, but in Hinduism, we have something which is called dhyana. Okay, just hold on, let me silence the phone. And everyone speaks about dhyana, but no one really knows what dhyana is about and how to practice dhyana. Okay, but as we move into the methodical practices of dhyana, we can attenuate the influences of these afflictions related to ignorance or distorted self-identity or attachment or aversion or fear. And so we can attenuate the influence of these afflictions on our mind and eventually burn them away or transform them into a positive force. Or if people have a problem with positive, I should not be using the word positive because that is a problematic word. When I say positive, then automatically negative also comes up, right? So we have to mold these afflictions, mental afflictions, into a force that we can use. Okay. And in the yogic tradition, this is known as samadhi or nirvana. Okay. Nirvana again is a Buddhist word. We call it as samadhi. Okay. And if you want to learn about nirvana, then ping me personally. I'll teach you. All right. If you're ready, I'll teach you. I'll not teach everyone. If you're ready, if I think you are ready, I'll teach you nirvana, how to attain it. It's a matter of practice. Okay. Now, nirvana is an immersive state in which we are no longer holding on to the awareness of ourself as an individual being, right? We are fully absorbed in the limitless pool of primordial omniscience. Okay. We are fully aware of the primordial forces that operate within us. And in this state, we see that omniscient being through the eyes of, of its omniscience. Okay. And this is what makes a highly accomplished yogi, or transforms a highly accomplished yogi into a seer. Okay. So in this respect, we have often heard of the word seer, but a seer is someone who sees exactly what is, rather than seeing things as per perceptions. Okay, we human beings have a limited ability with our vision. With regards to our vision, we see things according to our perception. But a seer is someone who sees things as they are, rather than as per his or her perception. Okay, and this is a very indescribable state. Nirvana is very indescribable. Okay, now as I said, I can teach you nirvana if you're ready, but don't think that you can learn it in a jiffy. It's a siddhi. That means it's a skill, but it's a skill that you can learn in a state in a matter of, say, 10 to 15 days if you are serious about the practice. Okay, but anyways, that's for a different thing. So while abiding in this state of nirvana, we see, we know, and we experience exactly the way that God sees. Okay, so I'm using the word God again. I should not be using this, but we do not, because of our mental conditioning, because we have been conditioned with the idea that there is someone up there watching us and judging us and everything. We cannot comprehend this idea of of an interpersonal God, of a formless God. Okay, so I'm using the word God. All right, so when you are in nirvana, you see the world and you experience the world exactly the way this divine being sees, knows, and experiences. And your feelings and intentions become exactly as that divine being. All right, so what happens in that state is you are cognizant of all the joy and sorrow in the world. That means you are aware of all the joy and the sorrow in the world, and yet remain untouched by it. Okay, now that does not happen by watching. Okay, I met a guy a few days ago who wanted to learn meditation, and he said that I'll overcome joys and sorrows by just watching them. Okay, it's a misconception that has been spread by by Mr. Eckhart Tolle in his book The Power of Now. It's a very Buddhist concept, watching your thoughts and then not reacting to it. But that's a practice that has also crept into Hinduism, and that is a very sad thing to happen. Okay, so you cannot overcome. Nirvana Samadhi is not the end of the life. No, it's not. Okay, it's being in a state where you are not touched by joy and sorrow. And yes, you are putting this question because you have been conditioned to believe that nirvana or samadhi is the end of life. No, it is not the end of life. Yes, there would be some schools of Buddhism that will tell you that it's the end of life, right? People take samadhi when some spiritual gurus take samadhi, and to make it more grand, they say it is mahasamadhi. But no, you can take samadhi even when you are alive, and even when you are fully functional in this world. Okay, so the end goal of yoga. I told you, Tujilji, right? Okay, so now it's a state. Okay, samadhi is a state of being, but you cannot remain in that state forever, because if you do, then you'll be as good as dead. That is what Twinkleji says. Okay, samadhi or nirvana is not forever. It's not a state that we can remain in for 24 hours. You have to be in that state maybe for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or 60 minutes for your liking, if you have that much of time. I did not have that much of time to to learn, and then my Guruji slapped me into learning samadhi. Okay, so with slaps you can learn samadhi in 5 minutes, but that's a very different path that he takes with me. Anyways, so once you're out of this state, okay, you'll realize, even when you're functioning in this world and you're out of the state, you'll realize that you are being propelled by some kind of a force. Okay, and along with you, the knowledge and experience of the divine and the various shades of divine omniscience it will also descend with you. Okay. And Patanjali tells us that, as we come out of this state, we reach a mysterious state of consciousness known as the Dharma Megha Samadhi. Okay. And this is a state which is laden with limitless knowledge of higher truth. Okay. But then you'll still have the awareness of self-identity. Okay. Patanjali calls this state as Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Okay. That is yoga. Okay. Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That is yoga. But, he also uses this word Dharma Megha Samadhi. Okay. Dharma, not Dharma Maha Samadhi. I got that wrong. Sorry. Dharma Megha Samadhi. All right. So here you have limitless knowledge of your higher self, but then you also have the awareness of self-identity. Okay. And this awareness is filled with the purity and effulgence of the divine. Okay. So, some scriptures describe this text, some texts describe this state as half here, half there. That means you are not completely in the body, but you are still a part of it. Okay. And in this state, you are fully aware that you are one with the, with the omniscient being. Okay. And at the same time, we see the objective world with all its strengths and follies. Okay. So this is something that, that we will go to as we start with the practices. Okay. Before practicing Shri Vidya, I don't want you to become parrots and, just do Shri Vidya as it is regularly done. I'll first take you through all these states. Okay. And only then we will begin our practice. Whatever. For the moment, just know that these states exist and it is fully possible to go into Samadhi without being dead, without being clinically dead. Okay. So our self-identity, as I said, it is encompassed by a unique shade of the radiance of that omniscient being. Okay. And, the highest state is compassion. Okay. When you enter Samadhi, the highest emotion that you can feel is compassion. All right. Now, compassion means, giving what you want, giving the other person what he or she wants. All right. So a lot of us feel that, my son is not doing well, my daughter is not doing well. So, I should think better for her. I should make my son study. I should make my daughter study, right? Because I think he will be lost or she will be lost. That is being very incompassionate. Okay. Compassion means you're allowing the other person to flourish as it is happening without putting your ego in between. Okay. Today morning, as I was just taking a small break from my practices with Guruji, I just opened up my Facebook and there was this post by a lady, I think, not by a lady, by a gentleman, and he said that, "Can anyone help my brother? He is wasting all his time by doing a job of 18,000 rupees. I don't know what he will do next." And I said, I simply put a question: what is the problem if your brother is happy earning 18,000 rupees per month? What is your problem? You do your work. And the person simply blocked me. This is the problem. Okay. We think that we are compassionate when we think that we are doing good for others, but that is not compassion. That is just ego. Okay. That is just ego. So ego is when you think that you have a responsibility of changing the world. Compassion is when you are aware that the world does not need any kind of fixing. It is you who needs to be fixed in the first place. Okay. So it's not a difficult emotion to master, but if you decide to stay towards the end of this, of this series on Shri Suktam, that means when we move into the practical parts, if you still decide to stay on, I'll teach you all of that. Okay. So in this state of Samadhi, our consciousness becomes saturated with the compassion-driven, will of the divine. And, once we realize that we are submitting ourselves to the divine will as a part of our dharma, we become thrilled with that experience. That is the real thrill that we experience. Just hold on, guys. So it's a very thrilling experience when when you understand or when you are aware that all you are following is the divine will, and you have surrendered, not surrendered, basically, that your consciousness is saturated with the compassion of the divine. Okay. And, in response to this spontaneous realization, the omniscient divine being reveals the treasure hidden deep in its unique radiance of compassion. Okay. The treasures that unfold towards us when we recite the Shri Sukta and, still see the objective world with all its strengths and follies, fully realizing that, we are a spark of the divine. Okay. So, this revelation of this hidden treasure, right? The hidden treasure of compassion, of divine compassion, rather, is the source of mantras. And the seer is the one to whom this treasure is revealed. That means you have to get to these states first before you actually call yourself as practitioners of Sri Sukta. Because, if you don't get to these states, you'll never find the right revelation of the mantras. Okay. Many people come and tell me, I've been practicing this mantra for 5 years, for 10 years, but nothing happened. Nothing happened because the mantra did not manage to bring compassion in you. Okay. The mantra did not manage to make you, to turn you into a seer. So you have to first turn into a seer, and only then, once after you turn into a seer, and after that, once you start reciting the mantras, or once you start doing the mantras, you will be amazed at the power that these mantras hold. Okay. It is something that is associated with the Shiva Tandava. Okay. So Shiva Tandava is a composition by Ravana. Okay. And these all the verses of Shiva Tandava are actually meditations to to help you get whatever you want, to manipulate reality by the force of your will. But no one told you that. Okay. People are running after these manifestation classes where where they supposedly teach you something about a fictitious law called the law of attraction. And they ask you to imagine something that it has already happened, and then they ask you to feel grateful about it. That is, that is the crux of the law of attraction. Okay. If you want something, then you imagine that the thing has already happened to you, and you start becoming grateful, and the universe delivers that to you. How stupid that can be, right? Tomorrow, if I start imagining that I am the prime minister of this country, and I start becoming grateful, do you think I'll ever become the prime minister without without even doing a political rally, by just thinking about me being a prime minister? It's not possible. I have to upgrade myself. So that is the reason these manifestation fundas don't work. These manifestation techniques don't work. So if you want to learn Indian manifestation, then the easiest and the most potent way to start is to understand the Shiva Tandava Stotra and how to meditate using those verses. It's a treasure. Okay, it's a treasure. And each of these verses is a separate meditation on getting what you want. Okay, maybe we can have a discussion on that in the later class. Yeah, just hold on again, guys. Okay. So, in regards to Shri Sukta, the first and foremost seer is Dakshinamurti. Okay, who is Dakshinamurti? It is it is a form of Shiva where he assumes the form of a guru. It is Shiva assuming the form of a guru. Okay, so all the Vedic verses, all the tantric verses, they start with Dakshinamurti. All right. Dakshinamurti is given a lot of importance in the south, not so much in the east. I don't know about other traditions, but Dakshinamurti is super important in the south, and we have to start paying attention to Dakshinamurti and how you can help us, okay, to unravel the treasures of Sri Sukta. Because sages like Dakshinamurti, they are identical to Jata Vedas. Okay, and Jata Vedas is nothing but a personification of the pure transcendental divine being. Okay, and don't think that Dakshinamurti is a god. Okay, take Dakshinamurti to be an immortal who is no longer subject to death, decay, and destruction. And you can also become Dakshinamurti if you want to. Okay, and the conscious that is embodied by Dakshinamurti is beyond time, beyond space, and beyond the law of karma. Okay, and when we speak about immortals like Dakshinamurti or Shankarnath, okay, Shankarnath, by the way, you see Shankarnath every day. The images of Shiva that you worship, those are images of Shankarnath. Okay, so these people, these immortals, they don't fit into our definition of number and gender, and they are beyond our comprehension. And despite this, they are driven by their sheer compassion that they have for us as human beings. Okay, and once we elevate our consciousness, they penetrate our field of comprehension, allowing us to know them and feel their presence. Okay, the closest form of Dakshinamurti that you can imagine is Mahavatar Babaji, who is also regarded as the sage associated with Kriya Yoga. Okay, so Mahavatar Babaji is very identical to Dakshinamurti. Okay, but Dakshinamurti is much above Babaji. Okay, so you cannot know and feel these immortals through your own effort, but you can feel them through their kindness. Okay, and they have all the power to dispense the treasure they themselves have received from the most radiant omniscient being, which is of course Jata Vedas. And it is with their tongues that we are praying to Jata Vedas. Okay, Shri Suktam, although we will be reciting it, it is nothing that belongs to us. Okay, and when inner prosperity comes to us as a result of this wonderful Vedic hymn, we receive the gift of inner prosperity with their hands. Okay, we understand the value of this gift with their minds. It is through their intelligence that we assimilate this gift into our being. Okay, and even in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord mentions this. Okay, you don't have any rights to the fruits of your actions. You're just the doer. Okay, without any right over the results, right? But how to give up ownership of the results? No one taught you, right? No one taught you, and we'll be covering that as well during our practical classes on Shri Suktam. Okay, so and this is the only way. When you give up your right to the results, only then you can progress in your sadhana and reap its fruits in a timely manner. Okay, but apart from Dakshinamurti, there are other four sages who are also the seers of Shri Sukta, and they are Ananda, Kardama, Shrita, and Chiklita. Okay, again repeating: Ananda, Kardama, Shrita, and Chiklita. Okay, and all of them are described as direct extensions of the omniscient being, which is Jata Vedas. And as we discussed in the last class, the radiance of Jata Vedas is, of course, Sri Lakshmi. Okay, we don't call it Sri Lakshmi, we just call it Sri. So, every yogic tradition, which is directly derived from the Vedic seers, every tradition will document a list of 71 masters who serve as conduits to transmit the knowledge and experience of the vast range of Sri Vidya. And I had mentioned in the first class that Shri Sukta is a very small part of Sri Vidya. Okay, and these 71 masters, they constitute the Sri Vidya tradition. Okay, maybe maybe we will have a brief, let's say we will have a brief discussion on the Sri Vidya tradition some other time. Okay, so these 71 masters, as I said, they are a part of the Sri Vidya tradition. And it's very important that once you start on this path of Shri Sukta, we pay our salutations, or we pay our obeisance to these 71 masters. Okay, and for a long time, these masters have been passing on the knowledge and practice of Shri Sukta directly to the students as a part of oral tradition. Okay, and it was a few thousand years ago that Ved Vyasa, who is the 21st master of the tradition, he compiled these mantras into the version of Shri Suktam that we have today. Okay, so Ved Vyasa is the is the guru of all humanity. Not only humanity, he is the guru of everything that is living. That means he is the guru of the insects, he is the guru of the animals, he is the guru of the plants, and he is the guru, of the earth, of the air, of the sky, and of all the five elements. Okay, so if you don't have a guru, if you have not found your guru yet, please pray to Veda Vyasa. Okay, he'll help you to find a guru who is, who is in the likeness and in your image. Okay, you'll be surprised when you find your real guru. You'll understand that the guru is exactly an image of yourself, an extension of yourself. Because when I found my guru, although my guru slaps me very frequently, I realized that my guru is exactly, I am exactly like my guru. I am exactly a younger version of my guru. And it is the same thing. If you have found your guru, you'll understand this. And if you cannot relate to your guru in that way, then he or she is not your guru. You need to wait some more time. Okay. So, as I said, Ved Vyasa, he compiled these mantras into the present version of Shri Sukta, and establishing a personal bond with these, with these rishis is one of the most important keys to the successful practice of Shri Suktam. Okay. But then, it is easier said than done. It's a bit tricky to establish a personal bond with those rishis. Why? Because, these sages, they have been living for thousands of years. Okay. And all we know about them is that they are a part of a lineage that originated in, in India. But then, only this amount of information is usually not sufficient to evoke feelings strong enough to, to mature into love and devotion for these masters. Okay. But then what can evoke love and reverence for them is knowledge and understanding regarding their non-physical existence. Okay. Before becoming immortals, they were once humans, just as we are. Okay. And through divine grace and their relentless practice, they crossed the quagmire of attachment and delusion that binds us here and that kills us. Okay. And the number one reason why human beings die is because because we cannot get over our petty feelings of attachment, our petty feelings of delusion. Okay. And these people, by being immortals, they reached the absolute realm of freedom and joy, and they have been rewarded with unrestricted will and the power of infallible intention. Okay. They're watching over us all the time. Right now, as I'm narrating this to all of you, even then they are watching, and they must be smiling because they have nothing to do with us. Okay. They have nothing to do with this class of Shri Sukta going on. But if you try to connect, if you manage to connect, then they will always show up to help you out in this path. Okay. And as I said, they have unrestricted and unlimited willpower and the power of infallible intention. And they became immortals, or they are immortals, because they have the ability to surrender both of these rewards to the divine will. Okay. And at the earliest inkling of the divine will, they happily renounced the immersive state of samadhi and descended to the state of dharma megha samadhi. And in this state, they are fully enveloped by the consummate radiance of compassion. Okay. And through the eyes of this compassion, they see individual souls like us struggling our way to find fulfillment and freedom. Guidance is always available. They are always guiding us. Okay. But then we are too limited by our limited perceptions that we cannot see that guidance. Okay. But then these seers, they always see, us, they always see that the job of guiding us is an opportunity for them to serve the divine will. And so they descend further. Okay. And, armed with trustful surrender, they often throw themselves into the ocean of samsara. That means they are a part of this world. Don't think that they are somewhere up there, looking at you from above. No, they are very much a part of this world. Okay, Babaji lives in a cave in Nepal. All right. If you want to know where Mahavatar Babaji lives, he lives in a cave in Nepal. All right. The rest of the people, I don't know because I have not seen them yet. Okay. But they are here. All right. They are here. So, once they come into this ocean of samsara, they again have to labor their way to find everlasting joy and safety. And when they find it, they share it with their contemporaries. So it's a cycle, it's a yuga. Okay. They come into this world, they again try to find, they again immerse themselves in this ocean of samsara to find everlasting joy and safety. And once they find it, it's the end of a yuga. And yuga is, yuga, we are conditioned to believe that yuga is the same for everyone. No, yuga is different for everyone. Everyone experiences time differently. Okay. So they still enjoy their immortality while abiding in the state of dharma megha samadhi. And from that state, by being around all of us, they watch over us and they confer their unconditional love and guidance through their sheer infallible power of intention. Okay, they are always connected to us. These immortals, they are always connected. Okay, and once we understand that their constant love and guidance is always showering on us, we become a fit container for receiving and retaining their love and guidance. Okay, and what does it require to become a fit container? It requires us to give up our ideas of right and wrong. Okay, it requires us to give our petty sense of human judgment. This is right, this is wrong, that is right, that is wrong, he is right, she is wrong, and so many things. Okay, so once we give up our petty sense of human judgment, only then you can acquire this key for practicing Shri Sukta successfully. Okay. So before learning Shri Sukta, of course, I will be doing the theory part as promised, but once we take a deep dive into the practicals, I'll teach you what happens after death. Okay. And only then you will be able to get into the state of samadhi very easily by the will of the divine. Okay. So we'll be ending the class today. On the next class, we'll be looking at the exposition of Shri Sukta. Okay, that means we'll be taking up the, taking up the first verse, or maybe, if we don't take the first verse, then we'll look at a bit more, we'll go into a bit more of the explanation part to prepare ourselves to, to become empty, more and more empty, so that we can harness the grace and we can harness the divine grace and compassion of these immortal beings all around us. Okay, so that's it from me today. If you have any questions, I'm very much willing to take them. All right, then I think we don't have any questions for today. Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining in. Recordings will be available next week. Okay, so this has been done with the intention of making more people join into the live class, because what happens is, if you anticipate that the recordings will be available just after the class or just after the, just the next day, the the will to join the class depletes. Okay, so the recordings will be available next Monday. Okay, and thank you everyone for joining. I'll see you in the next week's class. Thank you so much. Om Gurave Namaha.